So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I'm wondering, because of Brexit, is the UK more likely to go to war with somebody? Not picking any specific person, but is that more likely to happen? I mean, let's think of this for a moment. The EU, it's really unlikely for countries in the EU to have any kind of military disagreements between each other, or any kind of really substantial differences, I think. One of them, I would say, reason why is because people can come and go between whichever countries. So it's really hard to say that, hey, we don't like you, we don't want you here. Well, I guess you can say that in a normal country. What I mean to say is, I spoke a while ago about the US and China and how I thought it was unlikely that the US and China would go to war because their lives are deeply interconnected. The US doesn't manufacture a lot of stuff. They need China to manufacture stuff. China needs the money for manufacturing that stuff. The US is the biggest place to buy any of the stuff that China makes. So, right now, as opposed to in the past, when economies weren't as interconnected, it is a lot more difficult for countries to follow through because there would be a lot of different companies that would be against the war. From Coca-Cola to Tesla to Ford to Apple to all sorts of people who make money in China and in the US making this stuff and branding it, like Apple or whatever. They wouldn't want that either. The Chinese government wouldn't want that either. It's not so easy to disconnect yourself. So with the UK putting itself out there away from the connections that it might have, the close ties that it might have with the rest of the European Union, is it things a little bit easier? Is it a little easier to start some kind of conflict with another country because you're more independent, right? Well, I guess it is a little easier, but not really as much as I thought when I started this piece. I think China does have some free trade zones. I don't know exactly how free trade zones work. I think, basically, if you build this stuff in this particular area, then it doesn't attract tariffs when you send it to the other country. I think is something like how it works. But anyway, I think even though the UK is out of the EU, clearly, I guess US and China have those free trade zones. I don't know if it's exclusively to the US and China, but I guess the idea is that the world is still pretty interconnected and companies have business in both countries, both areas, whether it's the UK and the EU. But I think that as a result of the uncertainty because of Brexit and how they're supposed to tie down the rules of trade, that it's probably an uptick in the likelihood that there might be some sort of tussle or some things that might happen with the UK while things are up in the air. Probably not something that's serious, but at the same time, it's more likely that it would have happened during if the UK was in the EU still. I think I'm going to be rehashing a little bit of what most people would vaguely understand, which is that how are things supposed to end up between the UK and the EU? Well, the fact of the matter is that the EU has to make an example of the UK. Otherwise, it risks other people following in its footsteps. So even if it's hard or it's detrimental to itself, it's a worse situation to allow other countries to think they can do what the EU has done, what the UK has done. So obviously, they have to make it that there's some repercussions. Business can't flow as smoothly. People can't flow as smoothly. I don't know what the final, none of us really know what the final outcome of things will be, but they have to be bad. For the sake of the EU, they have to be significantly bad. Aside from that, I think that the UK's prospects for growth are probably not very good as compared to the EU. For one thing, I think there are a lot of people who are not from the UK were going to the UK, and that provided a lot of available people to work in the UK. Probably pushed down incomes, and it's allowed a lot of things to probably be built, and services and different things to happen, economic activity to happen in the UK. When you try to limit the people who can come into the country, which is one of the goals of the people who wanted to leave, what happens is that the wages are going to go up because you're restricting the supply of people who can be employed in the country. And that limits the economic activity of the country. I think that it's so funny. It's in another way, it's like your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness, or you are making the seeds of your own destruction. In that all these people come to the UK, the economy is booming, and people who lose their jobs are seeing a lot of people from other countries coming to the UK, and they think, oh, we don't really want those people here. And it's enough to make a referendum like this, go to the side that it did for people to leave. But nobody wants, people don't seem likely to want to invest in a place where you can't move your people around as easily as you want to. That's what the UK really wants. They want to prevent people from being able to come to the UK and work and do all of that. Why would somebody want a place with restricted, it's harder to get people settled in and work there. So it seems like just having success was a curse for the UK, in that it changed things just enough to make Brexit happen, And with respect to the refugees that were coming into the EU, I mean, it's a similar story, I think. If they had let these people come into the EU or continued to, I guess they feel like the wages would have gone down, but that's economic activity. So things would be cheaper for everybody, and there would be more opportunities because there are more people who need more services to, get what they need. I mean, there'd be more need for shoes, there'd be more need for clothing, there'd be more need for everything because there's more people. So I'm sure keeping these people out of their country is not really helping the economy in the EU either, but hey. Anyway, we'll see how things work out in the future with the UK and the economy. It doesn't seem like it'll be good, but that's years and years away. Everybody keeps kicking the can forward. So anyway, guys, you can wish me luck. So you can like or unlike. You can comment, subscribe, and or share. And if you're really pressed and maybe somebody is pregnant and their water just burst or something, you can do nothing. But I really prefer if you didn't. Peace.